All right, today's guests are Ryan and Keisha, a powerhouse couple blending craftsmanship, strategy, and faith to build generational wealth. He's the 25-year carpenter who brings the vision to life. She's the strategist driving impact and opportunity. Together, they're proof that partnership can build freedom. So, Ryan and Keisha, welcome to the show.
Thank
Thank
you.
you for having us.
Yeah, finally we got this scheduled. It's been a while. So it's been put together. I've been looking forward to this one. I never realized too that you're one of Zuber's originals, right? You said interviews. So how
Yeah.
long ago was that?
Oh, wow. I think our first one was back in 2018. I
And
think so.
now,
Somewhere around there. Yeah.
yes, I'm sure a lot has changed since then. And also, you will be speaking at the One Rental at a Time event in February, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. So from that point, for your first interview with Zuber to now, maybe quickly discuss what you guys have been up to and maybe how your portfolio has changed in that time.
Go ahead, honey.
Well, one thing that I would say that since that time is that we have literally followed the Zuber advice as far as doing one rental at a time. We have literally obtained, over the years, just more rental properties within our portfolio, making sure that we're getting the right type of properties, that we're not getting the alligators, that we're knowing our buy box, knowing which areas are going to be the most beneficial for us. And so we just keep going. We keep going from back then, from 2018 to now, and so we're still doing the same as we were before. Just moving forward.
Yeah.
And what market are you folks in, and how many properties do you folks have now?
We're in Toledo, Ohio. We have 20 doors, and we also manage our properties as well.
And so, what is it all like burr strategy, or what kind of strategy have you folks used?
I would say in the beginning, Burr, because we started with using a HELOC on our property to buy houses. So I would do the rehab, fix them up, and then later on, once we ran out of money, we started doing a lot of owner financing, creative deals, structured that way. And so yeah, that's kind of did both Burr and owner finance deals, and now we're actually kind of getting out of those right now and refinancing those.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like. I hear you also talking quite a bit about possibly build to rent strategy, right? I see you commenting in school. But you folks have spent 13 years, you're building life around family, faith, and real estate. What came first, the vision or the partnership?
Hmm.
Ooh, that's a good
That is
question.
good. I like that.
I- hmm. Well, how the partnership. I think we always had the partnership, but I would still say the vision came first. But I think the partnership was part of the vision.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So yes. So, when we first met, we knew that our backgrounds even meshed in that area. I come from a family that has, been in real estate for years. And so as I grew up, I've always been around rentals, and then just that idea of having some passive income. So that was always one of the things that kind of interests me in creating my family, moving forward. And then when we met, he had a construction background, so it was like, yeah, might as well marry the man, right?
Smart. There you go. You got cheap labor right there.
So yeah, it kind of worked out. But yeah, I think the vision was first, and then, like I said, I just think the partnership was part of the vision, so that's how that works out.
Well, was there any moment there that you realized you could like combine the marriage and business, in the mission? Like, was there something that kind of turned that switch on?
I think we just continue to pray about things, talk to God about things, and that's real estate is tough, and it's tough alone, and it's tough when you have a partner. And but I just say I feel really blessed to have my wife as my partner because when you're going through it together, and it actually builds you up stronger. Even if you have hard time, difficult times, you work through that, and you just become better as one, and then you can get your vision together with truly what you want to do together, and then go after it.
I do see a lot of your social media content and posts, like it's faith based and whatnot. And that's what you're talking about also now. But how has faith shaped your approach to investing and decision making? So a lot of people, even like real estate, right? They look at it and there's a lot of bad connotations associated with it about being greedy and taking housing off the market and things like that. So, but how has faith kind of led you guys on this path?
Well, the thing is that we always, even when we first met, like it's always put God first, right? So, everything we do, no matter if we were going to invest in a property, if we were going to invest in anything, we were going to put God first regardless. And um, so that part was just, I don't know, like it's just, I'm kind of losing my train of thought here a little bit here, but um, you go ahead, honey.
So it's at first, I'll be honest with you, we did a lot of things on our own, and through doing things on our own, we took a step back and realized that we need to make sure that we continue to pray about every single thing that we do, and make sure that we're getting the same answer when we do pray. So because of that, we haven't bought a lot of properties this year. And actually between this year and last year, we haven't bought that many properties because we are waiting to hear what we need to do and to move forward in that. And that's when we talked about the whole starting to build the rent. I believe that is going to be our next step. I think that's um, going to be a path. I think that God wants to lead us to continue to help people and move forward in our business.
On this kind of like path, like you're saying, God and faith and things like that. How difficult is it if you have like evictions though? If those type of things come up, does it become difficult to, like you're saying, evict people from the home?
I would say that, well, we have been very fortunate to only have one eviction in 13 years.
Mm.
So that's really one of the things that, because it is a tough thing because, you want to be, we're very much aware of people's situations. We're very much aware that everything is not always perfect in people's life, and so ultimately our business and real estate, even though it's a profit-based business, we're also here to serve our community, and so that is primarily what we do. And because of that, if there are times, I always tell our residents of our properties, communicate with us, because there are times when things happen, and if we don't know, we can't help you. And so we have had situations where we put them on payment plans. We've had situations where we've connected them with community organizations that help with assistance. And so we do everything we can to make sure that we don't get to the eviction process. And like I said, we've only had to do it once. And so it's no, I always let them know that, we're caring people. We are God fearing people, that we're people that understand that there are times when things don't look the greatest. I mean, been there, done that, so, and so therefore we are always putting ourselves in their position in a way to make sure that that they're achieving, because it is their home. And I mean, losing a home is not something that we want them to do.
So you said one eviction in roughly 13 years, and you kind of touched on maybe how to help them when it maybe gets close to that point. But is there any tips or tricks or advice you could give someone before, like even placing a tenant, or how do you guys screen tenants, or to avoid, like you're saying, only one eviction in 13 years?
Spend a lot of time on your due diligence. I mean, do not just let anybody come into your place.
Mhm.
Yeah, man, that's been a real big we take a lot of time to put someone in our place.
Right.
We think about it, and we have a lot of conversations with them and trying to make sure it's the right fit and make sure it's right fit long term. We have really nice houses, and we want to put great people in those houses so they can take care of them.
All right, very good. So yeah, let's kind of get into maybe like the roles and your guys' strengths. So Ryan, with 25 plus years as a journeyman carpenter, how has being hands-on changed the way you evaluate and execute deals?
Honestly, I think a lot of it's going to sound weird, but I think a lot of people that don't have the experience that I have can go further
Yes.
because I mean, just to be honest, because I nitpick everything. And I mean, I do a great, so we do a great job on our properties, but sometimes because I want things done a certain way, it may take me a little bit longer, or since, I'm saving money because I'm doing the work, but at the same time, it could take the project and go a little bit longer because of that. So I think for someone that has a little, it's great to have knowledge. You want to know what you're doing, but to take yourself out of it is actually, I think, better, honestly, because you can hire people, they can do the work, if it's done right, but you don't have to spend all that time and extra energy and money sometimes.
Oh, that's funny you mentioned that because my regular guest on my Friday lives, Emily Lopez, she has a DIY YouTube channel. She was just recently interviewed by Zuber, and that's kind of the dilemma she's facing. So she's in Wyoming, and she feels like her being able to do the work herself is actually slowing her down.
Yep.
So that's kind of why she's looking to maybe invest out of state or a bit further to where she can't just drive there and do the work herself. So that's kind of what she's thinking about right now. But so Keisha, you lead strategy and education. What systems or philosophies guide the way you to grow your portfolio?
Well, one thing that, and like I said, over time is that you're always changing, you're always learning. So we make sure that we are putting ourselves in position to learn, to be able to, okay, we've done this one way over time, and let's find some strategies that actually make our life a little bit easier. Because when we first started, we both had 9 to 5 jobs. And so therefore it was, how do we make this work while we work 9 to 5, raise two daughters, and run a, self-manage our real estate. So education was definitely top of priority. And then finding ways to alleviate some of the stress, I would say, is finding like programs like stop collect. When in the beginning we were collecting rent and we were going to the doors.
Yeah.
We were doing it the old school way, there has to be a better system, right? So just researching things that would make our lives a little bit easier, finding online systems that where people can, make their rent payments, put in maintenance requests, having other contractors besides my husband be able to do some of the maintenance. So it's just putting those things in place that have helped us, have more time, with our family and to be able to do things outside of just, 24/7 real estate.
Have you hit a home run on the software that you folks have, tried over the years? Like, was it one and done, or you've tried different ones, or what are you folks currently using?
We are currently using Buildium for our software. We did try a couple other ones, and I can't remember what they were, to be honest with you. But we did find that Buildium did kind of an all, inclusive, thing for us as far as, getting all those things together, as far as being able to, collect the rent, do the maintenance, spreadsheets, and, in the year stuff, tax stuff that we can just see, reports and things like that, and send out notices, and just everything that we needed to have within a system, it pretty much does for us.
What would be the end goal for you folks? And because there's the self-managed community, and there's a community that wants to hand it off to property management. So for you folks, when you do reach that financial number that you're looking for, are you folks gonna self-manage, you think, or are you gonna pass it down to a property manager?
That's a good question. I would say So right now we're transitioning some of our older properties to newer
Hmm.
properties. So some of the neighborhoods that we bought in before were still decent neighborhoods, but now we're moving up to higher class areas. So if we continue to do that, we transfer all of our properties, 1031 exchange them into those better areas, my wife may continue to manage it because it's going to be a lot easier. And then also if we start to build the rent, we that we won't have as much maintenance or things like that. And then at that point, it'll be easy as well to self manage it. So we're still we're only 45 years old. So when maybe in the next 10 years we'll have everything together and we can hand it off to somebody.
Nice.
Mhm.
How do you folks balance staying in your lanes, or do you folks even stay in your lane, but with working together on every major decision?
We'll stay in our lane. I mean, like for the most part, but we also collaborate. Like I feel like sometimes it does overlap, and that's fine. I don't feel like our overlapping is the like, oh, you are in my space type of thing. So it's definitely it kind of meshes well for us. We do a good job of communicating with one another, and that I would say that is actually one of the key things you have to do, especially when you're
Communication.
working with a spouse. You have to be, hey, this is going on, this is sometimes I don't know the solution to this issue, and I need you to come over into my lane, to help me.
There,
So
there's plenty of times where I'll face a situation on a job site, and I'll go ahead and call the wife, and we'll do a video. Say, hey, this is what I have. What are your thoughts? I was going to do this, and she said, no, 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 no. Just go ahead and do that. And I go, all right, just moving forward. What?
I saw
Yeah.
her shake her head. All
it's
right.
always, but then that's fine though. I mean, it's okay for him to call me because I need to see what's going on. So
Yeah, I think that's the biggest struggle when we get on these accountability calls or even live streams. It's always um, people have questions about how do couples make it work, or if one person's not on board. So that's always the biggest struggles that people do have. So I think you guys speaking at the already event in February, people are going to probably ask you folks um, those type of questions, right? And how do you folks make it work? I mean, I'm sure you guys had struggles, over the years, right? I mean, it's been a
Absolutely.
long journey, but it seems that you guys make it work. Like you both have your own, like you get your own lanes, your own strengths. So that does work well. I guess that would be a good point to actually maybe touch on. It sounds like Keisha, you also have a maybe, I don't know if it's a passion project, or is it something that you're working on separately? It's on something else.
yeah, I do. One of the things that I have over the years, we like I said, we've been doing this for 13 years, and I still work a 9 to 5. And I had so many times where I would have women in particular, because I do work with a lot of women, would say they didn't know how I did it, or oh, I could not do that, or I wish I had the opportunity, or could do, just basically some of the comments. And this what kind of prompted that passion project for me at first was just to say, okay, I feel like there's a lot of women, and like my husband just mentioned, I'm 45 years old. And so we're both 45, but it's just like you get to a certain age and you feel like not necessarily life is over, but like, oh, I can't do it now because I've reached this sort of, I don't know, societal peak that I can't do something. And it was one of those things where I was like, that's not it. No, this is not it. We still have a lot of life to live. And that, and I wanted to be that inspiration for women that, are 40-ish type of, that are like saying, hey, you can still work, raise children, or whatever your situation is. Maybe you're at the point where children are out of the household, but you're still, want to be able to have some sort of um, income. And I think real estate is one of the best places to get that extra income. And so I just wanted to be able to have a community of women that can find financial freedom, that are in my I guess my generation, I would say, that can do it, and I can be that inspiration for them and provide that community for them.
Nice. So is it kind of strictly focused on real estate though? Like if they, or is it just a path of building financial freedom?
It's a path. And then so, as you know, with anything, everything is kind of like, a building block, and I feel like real estate is one of those things where it is the foundation. But I also want to make sure that we touch on things that, people may have their own passion projects, or even touching on the foundation of, making sure that you're financially stable. My 9 to 5 is I'm an insurance agent, and just making sure you have the right protection first. Those type of things I want to be able to have those discussions with the ladies that are part of that group, making sure that they're protected on their homes and their cars and their life, and providing for their families. And, if there's unexpected events that we know that we need to make sure that we're protected, and make sure that we have those foundational things first before we start investing in things that, before, just having that foundation before we move forward. So I do see it evolving, and just being an overall community of financial health.
And this is where they can reach you right at the bottom of the screen, the Freedom 40
Yes,
Consulting. Okay.
yes, that is me. So yeah, so there will be more to come on that, but yes, you can definitely reach out to me there, for those women that are maybe looking for some guidance or ready to get started. There's my email.
And I believe I saw you had some webinars and things like that too, right?
Right. Yep. I did have a webinar about a month ago. We had a few ladies that were there, that was able to, get their journey started. That we're just kind of starting the beginning of having some talks with some ladies. So I did have a group of ladies that I spoke with, that, just kind of was like my kickoff. So that was really nice to be able to get that started. And there's going to be more to come probably in the beginning of the year, but I'm just kind of revamping a few things just to make sure things are in order, that we have the community ready for when getting started in January.
So this project of yours, and even like your portfolio or your real estate journey, it seems so like heavily on community impact. But so how does this show up in your folks also investing strategy?
Good question.
Well, I think that's what, I think that goes back to you with the build to rent. I mean, like, community is important. And, I
Absolutely.
think that's one of the reasons why, that Ryan had the idea, is that there's people want nice places. And one of the things that we always strive, even with our current rental properties, is that we want to make sure that our residents have nice homes. And so therefore we put a lot of attention into them. And so we don't want to just hand over just a place over their head. We want a place for them to actually say, this is my home. And so therefore the community portion of it is definitely important to us, because we want to make sure that we're providing a good, I don't say product, but a good home for families in our area. And so that's why the build to rent project that my husband is looking to do is kind of important to us as well, because there's areas within our city that we want to see grow. We want to see those areas grow and prosper, and then instead of having homes that may be dated or need a lot of work, or may have old windows or doors and things like that, we can provide a new, energy efficient home that they can be able to rent.
So staying on this topic of kind of the build to rent, or even, Ryan's background, maybe what's one renovation win and one renovation disaster that shaped how you invest today?
I'll let him answer that.
I'm
Staying in
trying.
your lane, Dre, staying in your lane.
Oh man. Um, okay, I got a disaster one for you. And this is sometimes we're just always we're busy. So, and this is the reason why I have a hard time letting things go. So we bought a property, it was last year, right?
Mhm.
We bought a property last year. We did it through a 1031 exchange, and this was a turnkey property. Remember how I said we're moving from other properties to nicer areas. This is that deal. Got it for a great deal, and that's probably what saved us. Through Mike Zuber, I say make sure you get a great deal. Well, we got a great deal on this, but we had to put a lot of money to this house. So I had an inspector go through it. Normally I inspect my own. And he had a couple things that came up that were red flags, but nothing crazy. He said mildew in the bait in the crawl space needs to be cleaned out. Mildew in the attic. I'm like, that's small stuff. But the way it worked was there was a tenant living there, and his thing, he had to have the tenant stay there. He wanted them. That was his thing. So that was his pain point. So I think we offered almost $40,000 under asking,
Something like that. I
about
can't remember.
$40,000 under asking, and and we told him that we'll keep them there for a year. He jumped all over it. But so back to my disaster. So I sent some guys over there to clean out the crawl space, and calls me up and says, "Hey, we got a problem." I'm like, what do you mean? He said, "Your sill plate is gone in the front of the house." I'm like, okay. At that point, I'm like, all right, just jack up the house, go ahead and put a new sill plate in. And I'm in the kitchen working myself, and I'm digging into it and ripping out the floor because the floor joist was kind of sag. Normally we do self leveler, but this situation, I was like, I'm gonna go and tear it up and see what's going on. So tore it up, and all the joists were gone. I mean, literally, it was separated from the house. Then I got into the crawl space. The beam was we had termites, so the beam was rotted. All the joists were rotted. Now this was a completely turnkey house. Nice floors, everything was done. So we had to cut up all the floors. I had to jack up the house, pour new footers, replace all the floor joists. And so that was we didn't plan for that. Replace all the siding. We got to tear out the walls, reframe the walls in the kitchen.
Okay,
So
I got two questions on this though. So no, because because you mentioned that normally you do your own inspections, right? So
yes.
how come you use an inspector on this one? And I guess then the follow-up question would be, if you did do your own inspection, would you have caught a lot of these things? Possibly.
All right. So the second, yes, if I would have went in the crawl space, I would have noticed the damage. And the reason why I did is I was trying to let go of doing so much myself. And this was a situation that I told the wife, this is why I do everything.
And this is exactly why he thinks that he should do everything himself. And I said, sometimes you can't do everything yourself. And so he kind of like trying to blame me. I think, but we're not gonna go there.
Not on camera. We're not going there.
But so that brings me back to the point why builder might be a better way. If the price that we pay for the house and then the amount of money we put in to rehab it, I could have built a brand new house.
Yeah, I think that's a same thing. That's another common theme going on right now in the school community. Right? A lot of people are looking at ground up or down to the studs or built to rent. So that's like Jim, that's going to be his strategy. He's in California. He's going to finish up his 3 burrs, which everyone told him not to take on at the same time, but he's going to get through that. But he's looking to pivot right to possibly Pittsburgh, but he wants to do down to the studs renovation and, like you're saying, get rid of all the headaches from the beginning. So yeah, I think a lot of people are looking at. Do you think it's because Burr kind of has the margins have compressed, so the it's harder to get the bigger wins on the Burr deal, so it just makes more sense to.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, especially in our area. I mean, Toledo's kind of rough when it comes to that, and to make sure you get all your cash back and keep on moving and still get everything that you need to get I think it'd be better to build from the ground up.
Yeah. Let's see. What was my next? Sorry, somebody messaged me. Let's see. Sorry, I lost my. Oh, what does generational wealth mean to you beyond just dollars and properties?
Well, I guess for me, I guess for us, I wouldn't say just for me, is that I definitely want our daughters to be able to have the benefits. And I mean, I know that's, of of our properties, of us, putting in the work. Like I was saying before, is that I grew up around a family of real estate investors, I guess I would say, and so they now get to see in action, and we try to take our children with us to properties when we can for them to understand. And so I think it's more of a knowledge thing, that they can understand that it's not just, yes, there's money involved, yes, there's the wealth that you can generate from having properties, but I want them to have the knowledge of knowing how all the back end stuff, things that happen that are not perfect, things that are, so they're getting the wealth and they're also getting the wisdom, and we're passing that down. I think that's you can't, if you have wealth and not have wisdom, it just doesn't mesh. And so passing that down to is definitely something I want them to be able to take on to their generation and to the next generation, to be able to pass what we're learning to them, to their children and children from there.
Any little tips or tricks on how you're teaching it to them, or
Um, well, I think it's just a matter of
on the
just
job training.
on a job training. Yeah, I mean, really, it is. It's like knowing your child, like really, just like we had our oldest, and she'll be 12 this week. Um, you know, just seeing what they like. He took her one time to help paint, in one of the houses, and she had to be what, 5 or 6.
Yeah.
And so just we going to look at a house, if we're going to look at a property, we take them with us, unless it's a really bad one. But yeah, we'll take them with us, and then we'll ask them questions afterwards to, to see if they understand. So it's just as they age, just little by little, like I said, on the job training, like just they're in there.
And I'm gonna add to that too. So my younger daughter is great too. She's awesome. But we were in a parking lot, and behind us was a building for sale. So I asked both of the girls. I says, "Hey, what would you do with that building?" And my daughter came up with a heck of an idea. I mean, I was actually going to buy the building and try to do what she did, but they were asking too much money. So what she said, this is my oldest, she says that what I would do is we would purchase it, and we'll make it it was a vet, right?
Mhm.
And
I think she either said a vet or she was thinking that a
doggy daycare. There's a doggy daycare. And the reason why it says I do a doggy daycare, because there's no special license I have to have in order to run it. So I said she'll be 12 on Friday. She thought, and this was probably about 6 months ago, she thought all through she had a good plan. And I believe that's because of the wisdom that we have put into her, with her constantly seeing what we do, how we go through our properties, how we negotiate on our properties. So it's actually working for her to actually do something like that. That was pretty cool.
nice, yeah. Wow, how does she know that though? I mean, you guys discussed that before about not needing like a permit or certification or?
So she wants to be a vet.
Oh, okay.
So she probably already knew
She
that.
probably
She
done a
already
lot
had
of
that
research.
knowledge on that.
She's
Wow.
she'll be 12, but she's definitely
goodness.
very wise. I think she came here with her own set of wisdom.
Yes.
That
That's
we're
good and
just
bad, right?
adding to it. We're along for the ride with it. So she does a lot of her own research.
Yes.
So I think sometimes I just we kind of look at like, oh, okay, how did you know that? But I guess that's the age of the children now. They have things at their fingertips that they can research that we didn't have growing up. So
Wow, maybe one day she'll be speaking at the ORAD event also. She'll follow
right,
in your
right.
footsteps.
Absolutely.
What's the hardest part of building wealth as a married couple, and how do you navigate it?
I think one of the hardest parts is making sure you have that communication. If you don't have that communication, it all falls apart. And we've had that before, unfortunately, and then we had to bring it back, refocus, like I said, and yeah, that communication is on key, because even if I think that she's okay with what I'm doing, and she's not saying anything about it, then it spirals. It gets, things get kind of crazy, and so that communication for me is 100%. You got to talk, you got to continue to talk, and make sure that you can express yourself. This you're supposed to be marrying your best friend. So you should be able to have an honest conversation. You should be able to take criticism, and you should be able to move on. So that's big.
So when you folks do hit a disagreement in strategy or direction, do you folks follow like a certain rule in the house or how to resolve it? Do you guys take like a 24 hours to let things calm and then come back to discuss it, or how do you guys handle it?
Well, in the past, it's on the job training. No, seriously, no, but it's actually very true. Is that I think we definitely deal better now. I mean, in the business can break you. And I think what it
Yes.
is that, you are together, even though we do have our separate jobs itself, there's things that, become stressors. You're constantly, okay, this person called, this maintenance call, this has to be paid, this has to be done, this has to be renovated. Oh, like you said, the whole house needed to be torn down. It seemed like so. There are so many things that you can just feel like business becomes business all the time, and there's point where you have to be very, very careful between business and marriage, and being able to sometimes separate the two and not make it business, business, business. And so that's where I think when he's talking about communication, we could communicate, and then they were just like, that's it. Like, the communication was just, okay, this is happening with the property, this happened on the property, this is happening on the property, but not saying, hey, I am mentally tired, and not communicating those type of things, because that's just not, it's not always just business. I mean, running a business is not just the business itself. It's not just the properties itself. I mean, it's running this household, it's running these, with these children and their activities, and making sure that you're mentally okay, I'm mentally okay, that we're still dating each other, that, all that has to come into play. And I think we had got to a point at some point where we were just keeping it all to ourselves. And we got to a point where we recognized that and said, hey, something is broken and we got to fix it. And that's what we did. So we definitely made sure that we are talking, even if those talking is really more just tears, me crying. But it's better to let it out than to keep it in. So I would say today, the way we deal with things is literally just talking. Like, I mean, I don't think there's no formality to it. It's literally us saying, hey, I mean, we can go upstairs and it's time to go to bed. And Ryan would want to talk about business. I said, no, not here. We're not, because we have to have a set time. We have to cut it off, because at some point I'm your business partner and another point I'm your wife. You know what I mean? So that you're definitely, I think it's just us talking and communicating.
And then I'll add to that too. Just like the other day, I was talking about vision. So your personal vision, your business vision. So we try to make sure if we get into an argument or we disagree on something, does this align with our vision?
Mm-hmm.
Is this going to get us where we need to go? I mean, is this going to take us where we need to be? Or if it's not, then when it's easy to remove it because it's not part of our vision.
Yeah.
So that's huge as well.
Yeah, because that's like, I think that's been huge for both of us, because I think as entrepreneurs, as business owners, you're constantly thinking like, what's next? What can we do more? How can we get more income? How can we, do this? And so you're constantly thinking of different ideas. And sometimes those ideas are not the ideas that need to come into play. And so you like have to say, okay, does this meet the vision of what we want to do? And if it doesn't, let's check it off the list. Or we can just table it. We can put it up on the shelf, and maybe it may be part of the vision at some later point in life.
Nice. So you guys talked about, the Freedom 40, the build to rent, getting your kids involved. But what else maybe is in this next chapter coming up for you folks?
That's
That's
it.
enough.
That's it.
That is enough.
Anything bigger, like maybe property wise? Are you guys?
So we only have two. We did dabble a little bit into hotels. We had a couple under contract. We found out yeah, we found out that that wasn't. Yeah, when I was in Vegas, we had one under contract that did not close. Learned a lot. Eventually, I will go back to that, but it's gonna be later on. But with the developing, I'm hoping to bring in out of state investors as well into that, so we can that be our new avatar as we start to build those. And
And it's
then
still going to be in Toledo.
for now, I would say for now, we are trying. We're setting up. So we got some other things going on too in other places. I can't really speak of it right now, but if that happens sooner or later, then it'll be in some other places as well.
Nice. Okay. Yeah, like I said, you folks will be speaking in February, so I think a lot of people are going to have a lot of questions for you folks, especially how you guys are making it work as a couple. What's coming down in the future, like you said, some new things you can't really talk about too much yet, but maybe we'll wrap it up with if like I said, you folks are on Zuber's channel. What probably was that 7, 8 years ago now? It seems like. But if you could speak to yourself, back at that point, I guess, in when you first got on Zuber's channel, that part of the journey, what's one piece of advice you kind of wish you had at that point? Or
I would say is that we don't have to go as fast as we thought we needed to go at that time. There is definitely that's a wisdom that I wish I had then that I have now is that I am okay. Like we said, we didn't buy anything this year, and I'm okay with that. Um, is that if I just knew that, hey, we don't need to buy everything that's presented to us. We've been presented with several different things. I mean, we did a lot of owner financing in the previous years, and everything was not needed because to be done because a lot of those properties did need a lot of work, which takes a lot of capital, which takes a lot, so that's one thing I wish that I knew then that I know now is that it's okay to just go at the pace, a slower pace.
I have to second that. I mean, that part is huge because there was a point where I remember we were in Mexico and we were our kids and we are telling our kids that this is why we can go to Mexico because of the property, the work that we've done. This is why we can go on a 1 week vacation and enjoy life and that. And we didn't have that much then, but it was enough so we can do things like that with our family. And sometimes as you get more and you get into renovating more, it takes more. So it takes more of your time, it takes more of your money. And yeah, so I definitely second that.
I think at some point we all kind of realize that, right? I think that's if you're around the community long enough, that's kind of the one common theme. Everyone's kind of like, we don't have to go as fast as we thought, and even just kind of cleaning up the portfolio. I mean, like Cody Davis, we see him, kind of consolidating, downsizing, getting out of his partnerships, and even getting to newer properties, taking a lot of headache off the table. So I think, like, Dion is rubbing off on a lot of people, and that small and mighty Coach Carson, that mindset of maybe the least amount of doors, but the right amount of cash flow, right? So yeah, this was fun. I'm glad we finally found the time to do this. Like you said, you folks
Yeah.
are busy, with your jobs, the real estate, the 2 kids. I'm glad we finally got to do. I did meet you folks in Vegas. The last time we actually caught an Uber together, so that was nice. But yeah, so maybe wrap it up. Where can people find you, and maybe when are you guys gonna be in Vegas? Can people reach out to you then and get a cup of coffee, or if they want to know more about your market? So where can they reach out to you at?
Oh, well, you have it on this here is that our IG is just Rough Homes. I also have a separate IG for myself, which is Keisha, Keshia _Rough RUFF. So those are two ways they can reach out to us on IG.
Yeah, that's rough
And
construction.
we also have, for the construction portion of things, we have, it's just rough construction, right?
Yes.
Okay, just rough construction, RUFF construction on IG as well. So those are the three IGs that we have. So feel free to reach out to us if you have questions. Like I said, we will be in Vegas, but we're available now as well.
Absolutely.
And you can also reach out to her at the Freedom 40 Consulting.
Absolutely. Yep, absolutely. Freedom40 Consulting at Gmail is my Gmail. You can reach me at that email too for any kind of consultations as well.
And both of them are in the school platform. So if you're also in there, you can also connect with them in the school platform. But thank you folks for doing this. I know you folks are busy. It's probably dinner time for you folks, but yeah, we'll get you folks on a live stream at some point and we'll have some more fun doing this. So thanks for doing this.
Yes, thank
Okay,
you so much for
bye.
having me.
Bye.
Bye.